Hi everyone, today we are going to talk about ratio and percents. To start off, the meaning of decimals or decimal fractions. Decimals are just a special fractions for fractions with denominator of 10, 100, 1000, and so on. We have special notation for them. So in this case, the notation for them are 0.3, and because that's only one decimal places, that is going to be 1 0, that's going to be 3/10. So it depends on how many decimal places, that's how many zero you're going to get. For example, if I go 0.54, there are two decimal places, 1, 2, to write it as over 100, two decimal place, 2 0, and then you just put 54. And so forth for the next one. If I have three decimal places, let's go 6.689, and that's going to be three decimal places, 1, 2, 3, and we are going to put 30, which is going to be over 1000, and you just put 689 on top. And that is how we're going to write decimal fractions. Okay, pretty much is under the base of 10, if you ever heard that. Then the next thing we're going to talk about is using proportion and percentage to describe authentic situations. In this case, let me draw a circle so we can talk about what's an authentic situation. That means every single situation is different. Here's a circle, and if you cut it into 6 pieces, and that's not very good, but just deal with that. So in this case, that's going to be 6 pieces on the bottom, and that's the whole thing because I cut it into 6 pieces. If I cut into 8 pieces, you're going to put the whole on the bottom. So it depends on how many pieces in a whole situation is going to represent. And the part is what you want. And when you have what you want, you are going to say, let's say we have 2. That's what we want. So that's what the 2 parts. And by saying that's an authentic situation, you can set it up the percent, which is always over 100%, and which is right here. 100% goes on the bottom. That's always the whole thing. And then you can figure out the percentage of what is this part of a percent of the whole thing, which is over 100%. Okay, and to do that, in this case, you just crisscross multiply and you solve it. So if you want to, here's how you do that. I'm going to use a blue one. So you can solve it by saying this is 6x equals 200 and divide by 6, divide by 6. That is going to be approximately, that's about 33.33%. Now, how come I don't have to move the decimal? The reason I don't have to move the decimal is because if I have a setup as a proportion with over 100, you're already taking the percent into consideration. So I don't have to move in the decimal anymore. The percentages are already calculated. But if you just do 2/6, that's another way. And you're going to get 0.33 repeating, then you have to make sure you multiply by 100 moving the decimal, and that's how it become 33.33%. All right, so there's 2 ways of doing it. If you cross multiply, you can just get the 33.33%. And if you do it without the 100, x over 100, which is this part right here, you need to make sure you move your decimal over to the right because it's like multiplying 100. So let's take a look at example number 1. Example number 1 says, a person buys a 5 Fender American Standard Jazz bass for $1,500 at Guitar Center in Indianapolis, Indiana, which has a sales tax of 7%. How much money is the sales tax? So what you're going to do is you are going to take the total amount, which is $1,500, and then because the sales tax of 7%, what we're going to do is going to multiply when you have an off. Now when you multiply 7% to change that around, that's really equal to 1,500. I want you guys to think about this. Since we are talking about percent right here, it's like over 2 zeros. So that is always the case times 7/20. And when you do that, that 2 0 become 1,500 times 0.07. Then punch in the calculator to see what's 1500 times 0.07. For example number 1, the answer 1500 times 0.07, which is 7%, equals 105, and that the sales tax is $105. Example number 2, a campus that have 10,000 students and 22% of them smoke. How many of them smoke? So what would you do? Pause the video and try example number 2. Pause the video, try example number 2. So the answer for example number 2 is 10,000 times 22%, because again it's off right here. 22% of them smoke, so what is the whole thing? The whole thing is 10,000. Okay, and then so because of that, I'm taking 10,000 times 22 over 100. Remember I say if it's percent, it's over 100. So you have the 22 over 100, and that turns into 0.22. If you're not sure which way the decimal goes, making sure you just type it in. So that's 10,000 times 0.22 gives you 2,200. And then the answer is 2,200 students smoke on the campus. That's example number 2. For example number 3, the proportion of employed mechanical engineers who are women is 0.05 in decimal. Use a percentage to describe the situation. So now the problem gives you decimal, so you have to change it back to percent. From 0.05, that's already decimal, change back to fraction, change back to percentage. Is, remember, if we put the percentage to decimal, you have to put it over 100. So coming back from decimal to percentage, you gotta multiply by 100. So I want to write it out at least for you once, times 100. So now that's gonna be your percentage. So this case is 5. So that gives you 5%. Now, when you're trying to say 5%, well, what is the 5%? Pause the video and see, can you come up with a sentence that describes the situation? Now, for example 3 says 5% of the women employed as mechanical engineers. And that's kind of sentence that I would like to see when you guys answer the questions. For example number 4, of 1821 adults surveyed, 832 adults said that it was extremely important to them that immigration reform is passed this year. Use the percentage, gives you a hint what do they want to describe the situation. All right, when you talk about percentage is going to come from part over the whole. For example number 4, the answer are 832 divided by 1821 right here. When I divide it, I will get approximately 0.4568. Now from previously, I told you guys, if you want to change your whole right here and figure out the percentage, you can do it 2 ways. You can do it 1. You can do it 2 ways. You can do it 1 with 100%, or 2, just take the decimal times 100, and then you can get the same thing. So what happened here is that is going to be 33%. Okay, so in this case, what we're going to do is we are going to take our decimal times 100 and give me 45.68%. And run it to 1 decimal place is 45.7%. Of the adults said the immigration reform is extremely important. So that is what you need to write down for me for example number 4. Example number 5. Jim's annual income just increased from $20,000 to $30,000, and Mike's income increased from $200,000 to $210,000. Do you think this increase in income will be felt to the same level by each of these individuals? Or do you think one of them will feel this increase more than the other? If so, which one? So in this case, number 5, there's 2 things you need to calculate to compare them. That we are calculate here which one has a higher degree of increasing. And if you have a higher degree of increasing, then you definitely will feel those money is more value to whoever the person have a better percentage or more percentage of increasing. Now to do that, you need to do the formula that we are going to do percentage of increasing right here. And percentage increasing and percentage decreasing works the same way. The only difference is if it's percentage increasing, you will get a positive value. Percentage decreasing is you're going to get a negative value. So here's the formula for percentage of increasing. For example number 5, here are the formulas. Percentage of increasing equals new minus the old equal over old. Or you have final over minus initial over the initial, or there's another one, m minus the beginning over the beginning. We're comparing two different rates. I did the Jim's rates, 30,000 minus 20,000 over 20,000. And actually that will give Jim a 50% increase. And Mike have a 210,000 minus 200,000 over 200,000. Even though they both have a 10,000 increase, but the base is different. So in this case, Mike only have a 5% increase. And because it's only a 5% increase, here's my answer. Jim will feel the income increase more. He had a 50% increasing compared to Mike's 5% increase. So that will be the answers for example number 5. Please pause the video and try example number 6 and see can you get through all the question and come up with the answer. And come back and check with my answer. For example number 6. Use the data below. Answer the following. Read the title first, making sure that you understand what kind of data you have. Summary of opening fall enrollment in Illinois Public Community College from 2007-2011. So we are talking about headcount, percentage change, FTE, percentage change. Based on those, you can answer the question. What was the change in enrollment from 2007 to 2008? So the enrollment change 2007, 2008, here's the number. And what you're going to do is you are going to subtract them, and I give you 9,880. Question letter B. Interpret the numerical answer in context of this problem. It is going to be the title. The enrollment in Illinois Community Colleges went up by 9,880 headcount in 2007 to 2008. Letter C. It says, what was the percentage change in enrollment from 2007 to 2008? Now, because new minus O over O is going to be the formula, and which is what I did, and I found the changes right here already. So I'm going to take that over the total, which is the whole thing. It's going to be 347,277. That gives me about 0.028, and times 100, that gives me 2.8%. Then what does that mean then? They want you to interpret the numerical answer in context of this problem. That means the enrollment in Illinois community colleges has gone up by about 2.8%. And that will be answers for example number 6. And that concludes the notes for ratio and percentage. Thank you so much for watching.